Welcome to CWS Christian Writing and Speaking. I'm your host, Jackie Wilson, and today's guest was raised in a broken home, battled addiction, jailed at 18, bankrupt at 21. But in 2004, he gave his life to Christ, and now he is breaking chains of divorce, abuse, and addiction because he himself has been sober for over 16 years, and he is married with two children, and he's been married for over 16 years. Also, he is helping entrepreneurs get known and noticed online. Let's welcome to the CWS stage, Mr. Erik Allen. Welcome, Erik.
Oh, thank you so much, Jack, for having me here. It's such an honor to be on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a very interesting life. You've gone through a lot, but God was introduced to you. You gave your life to Christ. But can you tell us the story before you had the transformation?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up going to church, so Sunday school, and my grandparents were really involved in church, and played little league. My dad would take my best friend Dave and I literally throw us in big dumpsters behind stores and say, "Go find treasure." That was like a typical Saturday morning for us. And then my parents get divorced when I'm 11 years old, and I had never heard that word. I didn't know anyone had gotten a divorce.
Mm,
It was kind of a shock to my system. And then even more shocking was my mom got together with a guy who was very physically abusive almost from day one.
mm,
She'd never pressed charges. I thought that was the strangest thing. I remember there would be moments where I was outside of the house looking through their bedroom window and he'd be hitting her with a cordless phone when those were around.
mm,
And then they got pregnant and they moved us so I grew up in Eastern Washington state. And then when my mom got pregnant with his baby, they moved us to Stevensville, Montana, which is a population of 1,200 people. It was 5 acres, and this house they rented had two ponds on it on the property. A beautiful property right in the Bitterroot Valley there. The problem was the abuse continued, and in fact, it
mm,
got worse because we were further away from police. And the house they rented had 3 bedrooms. There's one for them, one for my little brother, who's a couple months old at the time, and then one for my younger sister, who's 4 years younger than me. And they said, "Erik, you need to live in the garage." So I literally had this plastic tarp down the middle of the garage that separated my bed from the truck that would pull in. And luckily, my half had a fireplace to keep me semi warm during those winter months of
mm.
Montana weather up there. But, like I said, the abuse continued. And I remember there was one night that really stuck out to me when I'm brushing my teeth. They came home arguing. Wasn't anything different than any other night. But as I'm brushing my teeth, I feel like God's going, "Dude, you got to look around this corner, see what's going on." And so as I peek around the corner, behind me was the kitchen to the pantry to the garage door was at.
Mm.
And in that pantry, my mom's boyfriend is on top of her, just boom, 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 one shot after the other. I'm like, "Man, I got to get this guy off." And so I walked up behind him and I grabbed a cast iron pan and I swung as hard as I could and I split the back of his head open.
Wow.
And he turned around. It didn't knock him out. He said, "What?" Then as he said that, I took another swing and I split his forehead open. And it still didn't knock him out. He was standing up over me and he was yelling and he's bleeding. And my mom jumps up, lands like 6 punches in a row, blood splats on the wall. I mean, just crazy. Cops show up, take him to jail. My mom doesn't press charges. I'm thinking like, I'm the hero. I stopped this thing. And the next day I got kicked out of the house. So I had
Wow.
3 months left of my freshman year of high school at that point. And so I went and lived with my buddy Forrest and his dad. And I slept on hardwood floors for the last 3 months of my freshman year. We would walk to school. And that basically set me on a path of destruction for the next 10 years of my life, where, after I finished my freshman year of high school in Montana, I moved back to with my dad in Washington. He rented a house for him and I, and he would go stay with his girlfriend. So I basically had no accountability. I would see my dad maybe 1 or 2 times a month in passing. And, he gave me a bus pass to get to school, and he put Hunger Man meals in the freezer and $20 in the cup for my lunch money for the week. And that was it. And so I got into drugs early. I was smoking pot and I was, taking acid and mushrooms and, prescription pills and everything I could get my hands on. And then when I was 18 years old, I got arrested for having a bong, which is now legal in the state of Washington. But in 1998, when I was a senior in high school, it was not. I had to go to jail for a day. I was on probation for a year. And then 2 weeks after I graduated high school, my dad kicked me out. And so
Mm.
at that point, I became homeless, really. Between the ages of 18 and 21, I moved 21 times, living on couches here, couches there, week here, week there. And had an opportunity to move to Seattle, had $100 in my pocket and moved up there. And I was living off of credit cards for quite a while, and didn't understand the probability of having, or the problem with having multiple credit cards and then just putting everything on a credit card and then just paying that minimum balance. And ultimately, when I was 21 years old, I was $28,000 in debt, had to file bankruptcy. And battled addictions all through my life in my early 20s. And then there was a moment where I was working in the music business. It was my dream job. I got laid off working at Starbucks one night, and a girl walks in and says, "Hey, we've got this cool college age event. Would you be interested in going down to the event?" And, I'm depressed. I have no friends, and, she's good looking is what's going through my mind. I'm like, what time do I need to be there? Right. That's what's happening right there. And so I go down to this event, and I ran into all these guys that I actually knew from 4 or 5 years earlier. I was like, man, what are you doing here? I'd moved across the state. So I didn't really know anyone where I was at. And I think God started to plant a seed in that moment, because about a month later is Easter 2004. And I was out partying, woke up on Easter morning, surrounded by probably 10 or 15 guys in my buddy's basement. We're all hung over. And, I was the only one awake at about 5 a.m. And I felt God going, man, you're going down this path that's going to end your life real quick, man, if you don't start changing things. And so I decided in that moment to give my life to Christ. I did it right there in my buddy's basement. I quit cold turkey, drugs, drinking, cigarettes, everything in that moment. And I called that girl up and I got her voicemail, and I said, "Hey, thanks for inviting me to that church event. Maybe I'll see you at the store sometime." And a month later we were dating, and now we've been married for over 17
Wow.
years.
What a love story as far as spirituality and as far as a mate. Beautiful, just how God will pursue us and continue to talk to us despite what we are doing in our lives. And I'm just so thankful that, you had that delivering moment.
Yeah.
So now you help other people. You say you're breaking the chains of divorce, breaking the chains of abuse and addiction. How are you doing that?
Yeah, for me and my wife, when we got married, we both came from broken homes. So we knew
Mm-hmm.
exactly what not to do in marriage. Right. But
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have any good ideas of what marriage was like. And so we kind of brought junk in as well. The first couple of years was us just kind of getting to know each other. We spent the first 5 years, in fact, no kids, just us getting to know each other. We went down to Mexico and we built homes for people. And, we'd spend time up in the mountains, and we just brought a lot of junk. But when we said, "I do," we meant "I do." And that's through the bad times, the good times, and being married for 17 plus years. Not every day is rainbows and sunshine, right? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
going to be days we're going to be arguing, and not every on the same page every time. But what we learned is, we decided that, if we're going to argue, we're going to figure out how to get through that and work through that. And we never say the word divorce. We never bring that up in marriage. And my kids, they'll never experience the childhood that I had. They'll
Mm-hmm.
never experience the childhood my wife had. And they'll never see, us getting crazy and physical, abusive, or anything like that. And, we live in a sober home. And my kids understand that, both our grandparents, unfortunately, my parents and her parents are not the best grandparents. So we just don't have a relationship with them. My grandma and my wife's grandparents were amazing. And they're kind of the people that we look up to. And my grandma is such a prayer warrior. She's,
Mm-hmm.
just turned 88 years old, still prays for her 54 grandchildren and great grandchildren every day. And, memorized multiple, proverbs and things like that. But, for me, I just love to share my story and say, look, man, if you want to break those chains of divorce and rejection and abuse, we have to realize that our past and other people's opinions of us don't define our future.
Mm-hmm.
And once I realized that, that's when I realized that, man, the door is wide open for me to go and make an impact on the world, not only my family, but other people, and share my story. Now I'm 43 years old, or excuse me, I'll be 43 this year, but I didn't share my story until I was 39. Like I just held that in, and I was like, man, I know there's other people out there that have struggled with this. I know there's other people out there that have gone through that. And I just want to encourage people out there that if they've gone through that or are in the middle of that, man, God helped me get through that. And I didn't even know God, like didn't have a relationship with God when I decided to make that change. It was just, I felt God speaking to me. And then I surrounded myself with people that were living the life that I wanted to live. I
Yeah.
found guys in the church that had great marriages, great jobs, great business people. And I was like, man, I want to take you out to coffee. I want to understand your story. And so for me, I think the way that I help people do that is sharing my story and bringing guests on my show that, didn't come from the best background, but they've made a change. They decided to make a change. They took massive action to get to where they're at, and hopefully making an impact through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you're coaching, and then also you have a podcast show.
I do.
Can you tell people the name of your podcast show so they will know?
Yeah, it's just the Eric Allen Show. It used to be called the Bearded Biz. I used to have a big long beard, and I had that for probably 5 years. And people were getting confused. They thought it was a beard podcast. And my wife said, "Yeah, you should probably change that name. She's the smart one in the relationship." So I said, "Okay, cool." So I changed it, and I came up with Eric Allen joke because I'm super generic about that. But yeah, I talk with entrepreneurs, world changers, and success-minded people. And my coaching is really focused on teaching people how to start, launch, and run their podcast.
Mhm.
And, I've been blessed to speak with guys like Ed Milet and Tim Story and Eric LeGrand and Jim the Rookie Morris and Bedros Coin, all these guys, all because God opened up opportunities. And each person I spoke to kept opening up other doors. And so I'm just super passionate about building relationships, connecting with people. And podcasting, I started really just because I wanted to talk to really cool people. And then I was like, man, I should probably share this out. Right. So that's what my show's about. It is talking with entrepreneurs like that. And I love to hear the stories of redemption. And sometimes I have guests on her that are Christian and some I don't, but my job is not to judge anybody. My job is just to love people where they're at. And so
Mhm.
if I can just have somebody on my show, even if they don't know God, I just want to hear their story and hopefully that impacts somebody else out there.
Yeah. So what is next for Eric Allen?
Yeah, so a lot of cool stuff right now. I'm actually in the process of getting certified as a John Maxwell speaker and coach. That will happen later this year, about halfway through the training on that. And then I've actually just signed a book publishing deal. So I'm going to be writing a
Oh,
book probably, hopefully by early 2023 or Q2 2023, we'll have that out. But really excited about that. Still debating on what we're going to write that book on. It could be my story. I was going to write a how-to type book, but it's probably going to lean more towards a biography, sort of motivational entrepreneur type book. But yeah, really excited about that. And then, just continuing to love my wife, my kids, and live life, man. It's summer. I live in Coeur d'Alene,
mhm.
Idaho, so it's beach time now. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. So tell people how they can connect with you.
ErikAllenMedia.com. It's ErikAllen media.com is the website. Connect with me on there. I'm big on Instagram. So if you follow me on there and leave a comment or shoot me a DM, I respond to every single one of those. It's just Erik G. Allen. Again, that's ERIK. And those are my two main sources, I think, where people can connect with me on. But yeah, I love relationship building, love networking with people. So if you're interested in what I got going on, definitely follow me and shoot me a DM or shoot me a comment and happy to connect with you.
Yeah. Now give the people a final word before we end today's show.
Oh man, I love this question. And here's the thing that has helped me over the last 10 years. One is surround yourself with people that are living the life that you want to live. Like I am involved with a men's Bible study and a men's mentor group and things like that. But also like God calls us not to judge people. We just are just there to love people. And so for me, I don't care who they voted for, what their political stance is or anything like that. Like vaccination or not, my job is just to love people where they're at. And if more people did that, man, the world would be so much of a better place if we just stop judging people and just love people where they're at.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Eric, for sharing your story and showing how God works in people's lives. CWS audience, you heard it from him. Make sure you connect with him. I mean, his testimony is absolutely amazing. And if
Thank you.
you have found yourself in a similar situation, just know that you can overcome just like God helped him overcome. Until next time, beautiful people, God bless.